So I had an idea watching several videos before quenching, and that was to make a bracket to hold the knife right after quench and to be able to sandwich it so that it doesn't bend. The idea that these two plates sandwich it in. I'll stick it in the vise here. I made the plates rather than just the vise because the inside of the vise it's not smooth like the surface of this metal, and so this won't leave an imprint on the metal once I clamp it down. Just simply go in between the plates here. And ideally, hopefully, this works, keeps the blade itself straight. This is the blade that I'll be quenching. It'll be my first quench, so we'll see how it works, how it goes down. It'll sit in here just like this. And I think the most important part when I sandwich this in here is to make sure that the backbone of the knife is actually sandwiched. It's the thickest part of the metal versus the taper to the blade itself. What I'll do is, these are the pliers I've made in the previous video. Test out, is this something that's feasible once I quench the blade, right? These are the pliers that I'll have when I quench it. So I'll stick the blade in the oil, give it a good quenching, get it down in temperature, and then bring it over to the vise here and sandwich it in. And so far, it seems that it was actually easier to put this blade in with the pliers than it was by hand. So I think this is going to work really well. We'll see when we quench. I have a new sander here. It's a 2x72 belt that I haven't ran up other than just simply doing a couple of test runs. I've not used it at all, so this is going to be my first shot at using it. First thing I'm going to do is change the belt to a finer grit. I think I'm putting a 240 grit on, 220, 240. And I'm going to turn it on. And you can hear I'm going to adjust the speed a little bit. I initially have the speed up to, I don't know, a little fast, not anything near full speed, probably about 30%, and it still is pretty fast for this wood. But the first thing that I noticed was that the wood didn't burn using this 2x72 belt. The previous sander I had was a little bit smaller and very easily burnt the wood just from the temperature of the friction. But here I'm sanding off previous burn marks, and I'm also rounding the edge. I decided to change the profile a little bit and have more of a rounded front edge of the scales rather than the point that I had originally thought of. And then I'll utilize the top as a slack belt to start rounding the edges over. And I'll do one side at a time, and I'll just simply do a small little sand and make sure that I'm on par with what I want, what I'm looking at. What I really started enjoying was the smoothness and the roundness that I got from using this sander, and it was immediately apparent. So I need to change the pin or drive the pin to the other side so that I can do both sides as I did here, and sand the opposite side now. Keep it from being squared off like octagon style shape to more of a round bevel. The end product I'm real happy with. I was surprised at how smooth the wood ended up being utilizing just this 240 grit belt. Very happy with the setup. You can hear here that I slowed the speed of the sander down to about 10% of full speed.
Oh, that's nice.
So I've got a metal container that's left over. That is a 4-liter oil container. and I've got the canola oil that I'll be using, 3.78 liters, so it'll fit in to this container somewhere right about here, this level, leaving me plenty of room for putting metal in here, rise or whatever expansion. It should cover this blade. That's what I'm looking at. So what I'm going to do is just cut the top of this off with some sheet metal pliers, and that should give me a nice little metal pan container that I can heat up the oils to roughly 140 degrees Fahrenheit and use for quenching. And once the oils are cooled back off, I can just simply funnel it back into its original container and save it for the next one. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to get this top off for now. And one last forge fire where I'm going to heat the metal up beyond losing magnetism, roughly around 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to turn the stove off, prop the metal up, and let it cool off to normalize it. And that is going to be the second normalizing process that I did to this knife prior to quench.